Hi, and congratulations on the purchase of your beautiful new 2017 SL Rogue. This is an amazing vehicle. It's top in its class, has a 5-star safety rating, and I know that you're going to love it as much as I do. There's a lot of features that we covered during the delivery, so I want to go back over everything with you as a refresher just to make sure that you're comfortable with it all. And at the end, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call, text, or email me. I'll be happy to answer anything that you have. Let's have a look at what's in this amazing vehicle. So we're going to start right here at our steering wheel. On the right hand side, we see we've got a few buttons here. I've got one to turn my cruise control on, so if I watch my driver assist display here, as I push the button, it shows up and I've got a car with a line underneath it, and I see a distance of 3 car lengths. Using my intuitive cruise control button here, I can change that distance so that it goes from 3 to 2 to 1 back up to 3. So how that works is it's going to scan the vehicle in front of you. Once you start getting within the distance that you've set of the vehicle in front of you, it's going to readjust your speed to match the vehicle in front of you if they're going slower than you. So if you're on the highway doing 100 and you're approaching a transfer truck that's doing 80, it's going to readjust your speed down to 80 until you either get out and around it or it moves out of the way. And the moment either one of those happens, it's going to bring you back up to the speed that you've set on your cruise control, which will still show up the top here as 100 in this case. If you don't want the intuitive cruise control, if you just want regular cruise control so that you're in control, so I'll turn this back off. So I'm going to press this button again, and I'm going to hold for 2 seconds, and I'm going to see that my icon changes to just a dial, and it's no longer intuitive, it's just regular cruise control. So we'll turn this back off. While your cruise is on, you can set your speed here. If you've had to knock the speed off either by tapping the brake or hitting the cancel button, you can resume here, or if you want to add speed because the speed limit's gone up, hit your resume a couple times. If your speed limit's gone down, you can hit the set a few times to drop your speed. The next 2 buttons here are for your voice recognition and your Bluetooth hands-free. So our first button here is if I want to make a call or answer a call. I simply hit this button for an incoming call, or I can hit it to make a call and follow the voice recognition prompts. I can also use the voice recognition button here to set my audio, or I can go ahead and set my navigation with that. Once I'm done a call or done with the voice recognition, I can simply hit this button to come back out. On the left side of our steering wheel, we've got our volume buttons for our radio. The radio on this thing is amazing. You've got a Bose sound system. So you've got 9 speakers in this. It's absolutely phenomenal the way that this works. These 2 buttons here are going to skip through the presets on your radio. So you've got FM1 and FM2. You've got 6 presets on each. You've got XM1, which is satellite, that comes free for the first 3 months. And you've got XM1, 2, and 3, and you've got 6 presets on each of those. Right here we've got our back button. And then we've got our OK button with the arrows, which is for our driver assist display, and that's what we're going to cover now. So right now I'm on a trip odometer and it says trip 1. If I press over to the right, I get to my fuel economy 1. Now if I hit up or down, I go to number 2, and when I go back I'm also at number 2 for the trip. So they correspond together. If I want to reset them, I simply press the OK button, and then I can reset just the distance, which is my trip odometer, or I can come down to all, which will reset both of those screens. So I'm going to press all and see that the time is reset there, I'm all reset there, and then I can flip back over to number 1. Our next screen over is a compass, so this is related to your navigation. When you've got your navigation set for a destination, it's going to talk to you to tell you as you're approaching your turns, how far you are away from it, what direction you've got to turn. This screen here is going to show you an arrow while your navigation is engaged, either going up and to the left or up and to the right. It's going to tell you which direction you turn, and it's going to count down the distance, so that all goes with the voice that's talking to you through the navigation system as well. Our next screen shows me what's going on the radio. So with this screen here, on the bottom it says OK equals source. So as long as I'm on this screen, I can press the OK button here and I change from FM1 to FM2, XM1, 2, 3, Bluetooth audio, auxiliary, AM, and back to FM. And if I have a CD in, that becomes an option. The same as if I have a device connected to the USB, that becomes an option as well. Our next screen over This is related to the intelligent cruise control. So I'm going to turn the cruise back on. Right away I see my distance set. So that little screen that showed up earlier and then disappeared as I reset the distance, this screen will show you all the time what the distance is. And you see there, I can still set it. So I'm going to go across to the next screen. Our safety shield is pertaining to a few different things. So these two bottom ones here are pertaining to your blind spot detection. You do have blind spot indicators on the A-pillars on both sides. When you have a vehicle in your blind spot, those indicators are going to light up a dull orange for whichever side the vehicle is on. While that indicator is on, so let's say for example the driver's side indicator is on and I signal to go left. That indicator is going to start flashing and it's going to beep at me inside the vehicle. This screen will also give you some visuals as to what's going on. The front section up here is related to the automatic emergency braking and pedestrian detection. So with the automatic emergency braking, if you close the distance between you and the vehicle in front of you too fast, what that's going to do is it's going to beep at you inside the vehicle. You're going to have an indicator flash over here and it's going to push the gas pedal back against your foot. If you don't react when it does that, the beeping gets louder and faster and it will apply the brakes for you to avoid an oncoming collision. The same with our pedestrian detection, which is utilized through a camera right up here behind the mirror. If somebody walks out in front of your vehicle, again, it's going to beep and it's going to push the gas pedal back against your foot and if need be, apply the brake. This screen shows our tire pressure. So we see here it says it'll appear once we're driving. And it does. Once you start driving, it'll show you the individual pressure for all 4 tires. Should you get a low tire, you're going to get a warning that pops up saying low tire pressure. You'll have an indicator over here that looks like a tire with a bunch of ridges on the bottom. You can come to this screen. It'll show you exactly which tire is low and what the pressure is. When you go to the garage to put some air in the tire, put the hose on the stem and start filling the tire. When it gets to the right pressure, the car horn's going to beep once to tell you you're at your low limit. You can stop putting air in the tire. If you continue to put air in after that, it's going to hit a high limit, which it's going to beep 3 times to say, okay, enough is enough. If you continue to put more air in, you risk ruining your tire. This screen is related to your intelligent all-wheel drive. So you're going to drive in front-wheel drive about 95% of the time. This screen will show you whether you're in front wheel or all-wheel. As you pull away, that top line is going to drop to 50%, the bottom line is going to fill up to 50% because you're going to be in all-wheel drive pulling away. Once you get going, it drops down to front-wheel drive. Any conditions that you hit, like a large hill or any traction conditions, hydroplaning, slippery roads, loose gravel, whatever the case may be, the all-wheel drive is going to automatically kick in, and it's going to do that all the way up to 145 kilometers per hour. So anywhere that you can legally drive in Canada, you've got all-wheel drive available as needed. Warnings would show up on this screen, so if you had low wiper fluid, you'd get a warning pop up and you can get rid of it simply by pressing the back or OK button. You can come to this screen to review that warning because there will be a yellow triangle with an exclamation mark in it down here. If you have multiple warnings, the screen will allow you to scroll through and see what all the different warnings are. The final screen over here is our settings screen, and I typically only ever change one setting in here, so we're going to do that right now. This is the way that the vehicle unlocks. Nissan vehicles by default automatically unlock the vehicle when you turn the vehicle off. So we see right there it's set for ignition off. Most people prefer that the moment you shift into park that it unlocks the vehicle. So I'm going to go down and set it to shift to park. So now the moment we shift into park, that vehicle's got to automatically unlock. Next up, we're going to have a look at some of the buttons down on the left side of the dash. So as we look down here, we've got 7 buttons. The top one on the left is our traction control. I recommend just leaving that alone. You can turn it off with that, but you're driving an all-wheel drive vehicle, there's really no need to turn off your traction control. This next button I'm going to turn on. This is the sounds for our safety system. So the beeping that happens with your lane departure warning, your blind spot detection, your automatic emergency braking, and your pedestrian detection, that's the button that allows those sounds to happen. If you turn that off, that's going to turn off the sounds. The safety features themselves will still work, you're just not going to hear anything to go with it. This button is for our hatch on the back. So with that, hold that button in for 2 seconds and it will open the hatch for you. You can close it the same way while you're in the vehicle. Starting on the bottom left, we've got our heated steering wheel. This is awesome in the winter. It will warm up your steering wheel very quick. All you do is turn that button on and away you go. We do have a lock for our all-wheel drive, and it will stay locked in up to 40 kilometers per hour. Once you go above 40, it's going to knock off the lock, but again, it will automatically engage as needed all the way to 145 kilometers per hour. Next up, we have our sport button. So sport's going to change how your vehicle reacts, how the motor reacts. Your RPMs are going to jump up a little bit, but the motor's going to be a little more responsive. So if you need to get out and around somebody in a hurry, sport will allow you to do that. It gives you that little bit of peppiness that you need. But I recommend not driving regularly in sport mode, as it is harder on gas. Eco mode, on the other hand, is really good to help you save on your gas. The one thing I will caution with eco mode, you can drive in it all the time, but pulling away from a dead stop or trying to get out and around somebody in a hurry, it's going to feel a little bit sluggish compared to normal or sport. We have our fuel tank release, which is on the passenger side of the vehicle, and our hood release down here. Up above, we've got our brightness for our dash. Now this says trip reset. Now we went over a trip odometer here on the center display. However, if I look down at my odometer that says 105 kilometers, if I press that trip reset, I get another trip odometer. So to reset it, I simply press and hold the trip reset button. There's a second one there. So you have 4 trip odometers in total with this vehicle, and then one more press gets us back over to the odometer. On our steering column here, we've got our signal indicator. So I'm going to set our lights to auto so that they will automatically come on as needed. We've also got fog lights here. Now your fog lights are only going to come on if your headlights are on. So right away I turn the headlights on and I see the indicator. If I turn the fog lights on, I get another indicator over here. However, if I put it back to auto, because the headlights are not on, my fog lights also are not on. On the right side, we've got our wipers. So one tap up will do your mist wiper. It's a single pass on the windshield. The next notch down puts you on intermittent. From there, you can use the dial right here to set the speed on your intermittent. A second notch down puts us on low, and then the final one down puts us on high. On the end here, we've got our wiper for the back window. So one notch is on intermittent, and then the second notch is on regular. If you need to clean your front windshield, simply pull this back towards the steering wheel and it'll spray the front window. If you push it towards the dash, it will spray the back window. Finally, over here on the side, we've got our power memory seats. So once you get your power seat set, and it is an 8-way driver's seat, so you can go forward, back, up and down. You can adjust the back of it forward and back, and then you've got 2 settings for your lumbar support. Get the setting that you want on your seat. Make sure you've got your side mirrors set. Then hit set, and then the number that you're going to be tied to. So if you're driver number 1, just hit set and then 1. It'll set everything to your seat, and then going forward, simply pressing number 1 will set everything back to your setting regardless of who's been in. I do want to show you a neat feature with your side mirrors. So we can set our side mirrors right here, and once you're done, simply put it to the center there, and the mirror won't adjust even if I hit this. However, I'm going to put us in reverse for a moment. Nothing happens on the mirror. If I push this button over to the side, now as I put us in reverse, as we watch the mirror, it's going to tilt down so that I can see the lines on the road as I'm backing up. Once I put it back in drive or in park, it goes back up. That only works when your switch is to the left or to the right. Next up, we're going to have a look at the center display. As we move over to the center display, we are a really nicely equipped vehicle. So we see right away we've got a navigation system. I can see what's going on with my satellite radio by hitting the SXM button here. I'm on 3. As I mentioned, there are SXM 1, 2, and 3, and 6 presets on each. AM, FM with this button over here, and again, there's an FM 1 and 2, and you get 6 presets on each of those. I can set CD here, because our CD player is on the top. Auxiliary will go through the auxiliary port, iPod, USB, and Bluetooth audio. Our navigation is all right here. So I can set my map here, or I can hit my navigation. And with the navigation, I've got some buttons here. A couple things. Number 1, on your home, I highly recommend do not set it to your actual house address. Heaven forbid somebody steals your vehicle. You don't want them coming to your house to then try and get into your home. So set this for something nearby your home that you know how to get to from there. These buttons here will allow you to set the exact destination that you're going to. While you're driving, these buttons gray out. That's where you would use the voice recognition to do the exact same thing. Our camera button's kind of neat because while I'm in parked, I can do this and I see my round view monitor over here. I can see all around the vehicle, but on this side here, I actually see out the front of the vehicle while I'm parked. The moment I shift into reverse, that changes to the back view. This view over here still stays the same, but now I see out the back. Now, something I do want to point out when you're in reverse, we have some distance lines here. As long as you stop before you get to the red hash marks on the bottom here, you still have room to open the hatch on your Rogue. If you need to get closer, this is your bumper along the bottom of your backup camera here, so you can get in as tight as your bumper if you need to. Because I hit the camera button, the moment I go back into park, I still see out the front. This screen will stay on for 2 minutes or until I hit 10 kilometers per hour while driving. Now, if I push the camera button again, I get a view down the right side of my vehicle. It's the passenger side. I can see how I'm lined up. And then one more push takes me back out. I have an apps button up here, which will take me to all my different settings. My button here will control the brightness. I'm going to leave it on auto. This is going to look for radio stations either to the left or right of where I'm at. So right now I'm on 100.1. If I hit to the right, it's going to find the next radio station up. If I hit to the left, it's going to find the next one down. And then I've got a back button. This is the same as the back button that shows up on your screen here. So if I go back to navigation and I go in, I can simply hit the back button here and this will take me back out. Now I am going to change this. Where we are in Nova Scotia here, we're going to set that as our main province. We've also got some settings here for our audio. Speed sensitivity is a nice one. As you get going faster on the highway, you're going to get a little more road noise. So this is going to allow your radio to adjust based on that. So we're going to come back out of there. As we move down to our dual climate control, right now I've got it set for auto and I've got it set for 22 degrees. So it's pumping out some cool air out of the vents up here and we can see that right here. I can change the temperature, which changes both sides, or if I've got a passenger, simply push the dual button and then the passenger can change their own side for warmer or cooler. Once your passenger gets out, simply hit the dual button to turn it back to the driver's side. While it's on auto, it's automatically going to adjust the airflow and the fan based on what it needs to get to the temperature that it needs to get to. So in the winter, it's typically going to put it down on the floor or the floor in the windshield. That fan's going to start out almost off and dial up as it needs to. Once it gets closer to the temperature that it needs to, that fan's going to dial back. In the summer, it's the reverse. It's going to go up fairly quick, pumping out cool air and then dial back as it needs to as it gets closer. If you want to change where the airflow is at, you can change it to the front windshield here or use the mode button to go through the different options. If I want to change my fan speed, I can use these two buttons here to either dial it up or dial it back. I typically just leave it on auto and let it do its own thing. Down below, we've got a USB port, an auxiliary port, and a 12-volt power port here. And then as we move in, I've got my heated seats here, so I can set it for high or low, or just turn it off. Moving up, we've got our backup mirror here. So we see right away we've got a compass on this. We've got home link. I can set up to 3 garage door openers. And I can turn that on or off for the auto dimming. It's a really nice feature. The last thing I want to go over up here is for our panoramic moonroof. Now it's going to be pretty bright looking out there at the moment, so I'm going to tilt back. We have this magnificent moonroof here, which is all controlled using this button here. So I can close the screen by pushing forward here, and that will come all the way across, or I can stop it anywhere along the way. With my roof itself, I can simply push up on this button to tilt it, and I get a vent. Another push up closes it. If I push back on this button again, it opens my roof up. I can stop that anywhere along the way as well. Simply push forward again to close it back over. Now, this button does take a little adjustment to get used to, because if you're not careful, so if I open this back up, and I'm going to show what happens if I push forward too far and I get a double click, and you will feel it. So my roof is going to close back over, and then immediately after that, the screen comes back over to close it. But again, you can stop that anywhere along the way, and it doesn't take long to get used to the feel of that button. But that's how you work the sunroof on this. Because you do have Nissan Connect services, there is an SOS button here. That's going to connect you to Nissan Emergency Services, who will connect you to your local emergency services as needed. So a couple final things we're going to cover. This is our key fob here. So we've got a number of buttons here. We've got our panic button. We've got a button down here that if I press and hold for 2 seconds, that will open the rear hatch. I can close it the same way. Got my keyless entry, and then I've got a remote start. So to work the remote start, I simply hit the lock button and hold this top button for 5 seconds. That will remote start your vehicle from as far away as 150 to 200 feet. It will run for 10 minutes when you remote start it. After that, if you don't engage the vehicle, which you do by getting in, putting your foot on the brake and hit the start button, it will turn the vehicle off. Now, if for some reason you're running behind and you need to extend it, simply hit the lock button to extend it by 10 minutes from wherever it's at in the count. So if you've been running for 8 minutes and you hit the lock button, it will run to the 18-minute mark. If something comes up and you change your mind, you're not going anywhere, simply hit this top button to turn it back off. Now, because it is a key fob, there is a battery in this. It's going to last for 2 to 4 years approximately, depending on use. Once it starts getting low, your first indication is you're going to get in no problem. You're going to go to start the vehicle using the push button start, and it's going to come up here and say incorrect key ID. That's your first indication that the battery in your key fob is getting low. Give it a moment, try it again, you should be fine. You're going to want to consider changing your battery at that point. If you hit a point that you don't change your battery and it goes dead, on the back of this, we have a little switch that if I push the switch over, from there, I can remove the key that works on the driver's side door. Once I get in the vehicle, simply take the Nissan emblem on the key fob and place it directly against the start button and use that to push the start button, and it will start the vehicle for you. So you're never stuck. At that point, you're either going to want to head to the dealership to switch out the battery, or taking the battery back out, or taking the key back out, I can go to the bottom of this. I see 2 recessed areas here on either side, one here, one over here. If I get something in between there and give a little twist, this will pop open. There is a lithium battery in there, very similar to a watch battery, just a bit larger. The number that's on the battery is the size. You can buy them locally for about $6 or $7 and then just switch out the battery, and then you're good for another couple of years. They will do it at the dealership for you as well, so that you're never stuck. Finally, with the intelligent key system that comes with this, because you have a key fob, we're going to have a look at that outside. It's got a couple ways that it works. There's buttons on both of the front doors, so that one push on that button is going to unlock the door that you're at. A second push on the button is going to unlock the entire vehicle. Once you get out and everybody has shut their doors, push the button again and it will lock the entire vehicle. Your key fob does need to be within 3 to 4 feet of the door for that feature to work. As long as you do that, it will work. It will not let you lock the vehicle, the key inside the vehicle, and we're about to have a look at how that works. So let's hop outside. So here we are outside the vehicle. We see the intelligent key system right here. So if I push this once, because I just got out, I get 2 beeps which tells me we're locked. Now, one push, it's a single beep, and it unlocks the door that I'm at. The second push unlocks this door and the rest of the vehicle. Now, I mentioned that you cannot lock the key inside of this, so we're going to drop the key on the seat as if it fell out of our pocket. I'm going to push the button here, hear a whole lot of beeping to tell me my key is still inside and it did not lock the vehicle. The final thing I want to show you, the same as the side of the doors, as long as this key is within 3 or 4 feet of the back of the vehicle. We do have a kick motion activation on the back here, so I can simply hit the button here to open the back of it, or this center area down here, which is nice and clearly marked. If I do a fluid in and out motion with my foot, I hear 3 beeps telling me to move out of the way, and it opens the hatch to this vehicle. From there, I can either use this button to lock it, or there's the 3 beeps again, and it locks it the same way using the kick motion activation. So you always have options on how to get in and out of the vehicle. Congratulations again on the purchase of your 2017 SL Rogue. It is a magnificent vehicle with a ton of features to it. I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. This is one of my favorite vehicles. I love how it drives, love the fuel economy on it, and the features that it has to it. It's going to treat you extremely well. I know it will. I hope this video helped go back over everything that we covered during the delivery. As I mentioned, we did go over quite a bit, so hopefully this helped. If you still have any questions, just give me a call, text, or email me. I'm more than happy to answer them. If you do stop by the dealership and for some reason I'm not here, anybody here will be able to help you. I look forward to seeing you when you come in for any of your maintenance. Please pop by and say hello. I'll watch for you as well. And I look forward to seeing you when it comes time for your next vehicle.